Aloha everybody from 300 miles offshore of San Diego, Mexico. San Diego. This is day 3 at sea. I've made 280 miles the first 2 days, just flying. There was a small craft advisory, so we had 30 knot winds consistent for the 2 days. Probably higher. But man, the boat was just flying. Unfortunately, with that kind of winds, we had big waves too. So it was just rocking and rolling and high seas and waves crashing on the deck. And I got seasick for the third time in my life, or second time in my life, I think. But for the last 2 days, couldn't keep down anything. I mean, one sip of water was guaranteed to mean I was going to be throwing up in like 5 minutes. So when I started feeling really crappy, sometimes I would drink a couple sips of water just to throw up and feel better. But I think I threw up at least 20 times in the last 2 days. So with the waves crashing on the deck too, water was just pouring inside like waterfalls. One of the front hatch covers was missing one of the foam strips for insulator, so it was just pouring in there. And then my turtle hatch, this hatch here along the seams, the water hits inside there. A lot of it end up inside, just literally flooding the entire cabin. So before I left, everything was put away and organized and everything was all neat and clean, so it had a nice trip. Well, after this is day 3 at sea, I'll show you what nice and clean turns out to be in reality. Everything is out on the deck drying today. It's day 3 and I couldn't take continuing with everything drenched. Everything is out here drying. All my clothes were wet. I kept 2 of my blankets dry, which are inside still. These were wet. I didn't have any dry clothes left either. I had 1 pair of dry clothes left. And even that area inside the boat just got drenched. So right now I'm finding the magic spots that are dry. I'm going to run with that, you know. But inside, so I started having problems with my autopilot last night, and that's why I stopped. I decided just to stop sailing and deal with the issues of everything being wet, the autopilot. You know, I wanted to straighten it out, obviously. So this is what the inside looks like, and this is actually after I've been cleaning almost all day because everything was on the ground. But here goes, check this out. This has been my dry cubby hole, this corner, so all my DVDs and electronics and everything were tucked in there, and I've got some bread. And Coquita, my first mate, sleeping in the back too. So I've been working on the autopilot and checking out the source, and what I've come to find out is in here is my battery. Well, the battery compartments were flooded in here, and what was happening is the battery was sitting in water. So that's like grounding everything out. And what happened is I had some positive wires hooked into the battery that were feeding my autopilot independently, and they shorted out. So I'm going to have to take the battery out of here and move it. The battery I bought was too big for the battery box that was down in there, so I wasn't able to use it, and I should have just got another box, and I didn't. But, you know, money's tight. So I'm going to move that battery from that location and fix the shorts. That should solve the autopilot issue. This is where I was sleeping, but holy rainfall inside there, man. I mean, my blanket and my bodies were soaked, and I ended up just putting the covers over my head because as the water just poured in on top of me, at least I was covered. But so much water came in that it was running in through the blanket onto my head and body, and I was drenched for 2 days. So between being drenched and laying in a wet blanket, you know, if I had to get out and address the vessel, it was just instant freezing because you're just soaked head to toe, and the moisture and heat, or the heat, is just zapped from your body. So I'd rush out to address the boat and then rush back into that wet blanket just for some comfort, you know. But the water that was pouring into the turtle hatch, see up here, I began stuffing with plastic bags, and that seemed to work actually. So that stopped that area. Same deal with this hatch up here. When this hatch was closed, I don't know if you can see it, but the back there I was missing that foam strip, so I stuffed it with plastic bags, and it worked pretty good. You know, you'd think I'd address all these issues before, but all my days sailing, I never had any issues with it. I stayed dry in here. It was great. But when you have 30 to 40 knot winds, 30 knot winds with 12 to 16 foot seas, and you're charging along, my GPS showed that I hit at 1.12 miles per hour, so looking at 10.5 knots, and I got a 27 foot vessel, so that shows you how much it was blowing. And you know, with going that fast is too fast too, so the bow of the sailboat is plunging downward, and it's causing even more water on the decks, you know. So day 3, we stop, we reevaluate. We say, all right, no more throwing up. We feel better now. So let's do other laundry again. Let's get everything dry. Let's secure the major leaks. Let's find the dry spots in the boat to put everything else. Let's get the cat, my Paquita, my first mate. Let's get her feeling better and get me feeling better. And we'll continue on. So hopefully I didn't fry out both my autopilots with that shortage problem I was having, because I had them both powered off that battery. And well, you know, once the one gave me problems, I pulled it and put the other one out, because the one I was expecting to fail. Well, I possibly could have shorted them both. So we'll see. But that's why I got 2 of the same. So if I have to, I can pull them apart and try to make one that works. But not if I shorted the same component out of both of them. Oh well, we'll figure it out. I sure don't want to steer this thing for the next 3 weeks. That's for sure. If I have to hand steer there, I'm looking at 6 weeks, not 3 weeks. All right, guys, 300 miles offshore, day 3. It's been rough, but we're feeling better. We're feeling optimistic, and I'll check back in with you later. Thanks for the phone, Dan. Oh yeah, update 2 on day 3 after everything's clean and dry, and Paquita and I are both eating again and drinking again. I got this bed made up again. This is where the bed table folds down into a bed, and I couldn't sleep here before on a starboard tack, port tack, because everything was just falling off. Obviously, the whole bed was just sliding off to the floor continuously, and it was just insane. And so I have the bottom of the table being held, bed in place, being held by this piece of wood with a nice 2-liter there. And then I actually have a piece of line tied in all the way around, so if the cushion starts sliding, it'll grab, but it won't grab much. I gotta figure something better out. But that's the main gig right there. That holds the platform in place. So, but if I get any rougher seas, the cushions are gonna be sliding off. But so I'm gonna sleep here now, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put an extra cushion on the inside of me, so that way I can kind of lean into it because of the tack. I don't have a lee cloth system in place, so that'll be my lee cloth. But I like the thought of being dry, so we'll see how this continues. Peace. All right, checking back in. Day 3, we're back in action now. I stopped for a good 12 to 18 hours. Had to recuperate from the seasickness and the 30 knot continuous winds with 12 to 16 foot seas. It beat me up. It beat up my first mate, Paquita. But I got the boat back in order. I got everything dried on the deck. All my blankets are dry again. All my clothes are dry again. Woo! And I got the boat rigged up a little bit better to suit, you know, the offshore needs. So my wet area over here that I was sleeping in is now just become my throw-all place with quick to grab items that I need, you know, so it's full of bottled water and my flotation devices, you know, quick to grab things, my flares right there. Anything that can get wet too, so I just throw it in that corner and then I'm done. I don't have to deal with it anymore. Over here, Paquita is resting comfortably again. Hi, Paquita. Yeah. She was sleeping pretty good until I started talking. So that's the dry area. And I have my bread in there and my DVDs and my electronics are stored in there, and she sleeps in there too. So I'm going to clear that out a little bit more. Got a movie going. Watching Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore. And I got some food. My little one-hitter, been smoking some weed. So it's calmed down a lot outside. We're only at about 6 foot seas right now, 6 to 8. Winds are only about maybe 10 to 15 knots. So much more comfortable than it was. And I'm still making 4 knots speed overall with reduced conditions. So I put more sail out. You know, I had it just about as reefed as I could reef it before. When those 30 knot winds were going for those 2 days, I knew they were coming, so I had the equivalent of a storm jib out on my roller furler, just for my foresail rolled out, maybe the equivalent of a storm jib. And then I had my main fully reefed, and I had my boom way out to spill out as much wind as possible. And even with all that, I was trying to keep the sails balanced to give the autopilot a break, you know. Otherwise, I probably would have just dropped the main and stuck with the storm try, you know, for a foresail. But things are going good now, man. Back in action. We're 325 miles offshore now, and a lot more comfortable for now. This is really nice. All right, guys. Aloha. Day 3 still. Paquita just woke up. Hi, baby. Looks like she's got her appetite back. Both of us had a rough couple days, so I stopped sailing and just put the main up to stop us from flopping around, and just kind of drifted here for a little while to give us a break. Looks like it paid off. She's feeling better. She's drinking water. I'm feeling better. I'm drinking water and eating, and I'm getting my blankets and clothes dry, which is great. Finding the electrical problems, which is good. I got my old autopilot, I believe, back in order. We're going to find out. The other one, still working on it, so making progress. Main thing, first mate is back in shape. Aren't you, Paquita? Huh? Yes, you are. She's like, I got this. This boat stuff's nothing. All right, guys. Aloha.